So good afternoon and welcome to another technical analysis update. And today is the 1st of June and it's just coming up to 2:30 p.m. here in the UK. So as always, let me just check that everything's working, that the audio is working, and the audio is working, the video is working as well. So we're all good. So let's just start with the the stock heat map, and you can see that the great majority of it has had a little bit of a pullback. Amazon's up 4%, but the great majority, it's a bit of a mixed bag to be fair, but there's a little bit of a pullback happening, which is not surprising considering the traditional finance markets stocks have been going up significantly last week. So this is no surprise that we've got a little bit of a pullback. Over at the cryptocurrency heat map, you can see that some of these alts have started running up with the last couple of impulses on Bitcoin, but Bitcoin's still kind of pretty much flat. Ethereum is up 1%, Cardano is down 2%, and then Tron and a few more here. Sol is down, Tron is up, AMP is up. There's quite a few here that are up, but nothing really major. GMT is up 22%, Waves is up 18%, bit of a squeeze going on that one. RBN is up 1392%. I don't even know what that is, but there we are. So it's a bit of a mixed bag here, but the great majority of it is having a little bit of a rest. So in terms of the calendar of what we got going on today, at 3 p.m. We have the ISM manufacturing PMI. We've also got the job openings, and then later on at 6 p.m. we've got the FOMC member Bullard speaking. Nothing really significant. I don't think there's going to cause that much volatility. However, tomorrow we do have the ADP, the non-farm employment change, and also on Friday, that's at 1:15. And then we've got on Friday the 3rd, we've got the hourly earnings and the non-farm employment change and unemployment rate as well. So we'll see what happens with that, but this could cause some volatility in the markets. So with that said, let's move on to the charts, and we'll start with the S&P here. You can see here from the 3-day chart that we've had quite a bit of impulse to the upside, like I mentioned to you guys on Friday. The impulse to the upside here on the daily chart on the top right hand corner, you can see here, make this a little bit bigger, that we've kind of had an impulse way above this low volume area here. Okay, and so it does look, so that's the low volume area, and it does look like now we're kind of like finding acceptance inside of this volume cluster here. Okay, in fact you could argue that this is a much larger volume cluster like this, and that this here is a low volume node that could cause a little bit of resistance on its way up. So you know, both arguments are valid. Regardless of that, we do have a little volume cluster here with a little bit of resistance above, which is that low volume node. And we kind of like, we got stuck. So you can see this impulse stopped at this little ledge here, a shelf if you like, on the volume profile. But I think, you know, this is a daily chart, so I think this is going to be the significant resistance at around about 4,260 points. Okay, so that'll be resistance. But regardless of that, we're kind of rotational. We're back above the quarterly VWAP, which is important, I guess, for the first of the month. We're back inside the value area low. Let me just take this second standard deviation. Okay, so we tested the value area low of the 2021 VWAP. We bounced from there, and now we're testing the 2021 VWAP, which is basically this level here where the VWAP closed, right? So we've tested that. We found a little bit of resistance. That's perhaps why we found a little bit of resistance there. But regardless of that, we're well above this low volume area. So it's already tested, as you can see here. It's already tested to the downside. Could put this on the 3-day chart, maybe even on the daily is perhaps a little bit more visible. So yeah, on the daily is a little bit more visible. We tested the edge of this high volume cluster here, right? So we tested the lower edge and now we're on our way up. Okay, the first resistance that we found was at that 2021 VWAP, which is the faint blue line. So if we can get above that, then this here will be the next target, right? Around about 4,325 points. Okay, so that's on a higher time frame. So it does look like we're finding acceptance back inside this cluster here. So we'll wait and see if we can, if this low volume area can indeed hold as support, and if it can, obviously that's good news for crypto. But you know, we've got to be sort of like sensible and just see what happens, because June is starting and basically the interest rates are being put up now, and the balance sheet is being reduced. The quantitative tightening, or whatever you want to call it, the QT, is coming into force now with the first of the month. So although it's expected and the market has priced it in already, there could be some unexpected changes where if they announce, for example, a more aggressive stance moving forward. So regardless of that, we are above, as you can see here on the bottom right hand corner, we are above the value area high, the monthly VWAP here. Okay, we're kind of rotational inside of the weekly. Okay, so this is the weekly value area here. Just make this a little bit bigger so that you guys can see. Okay, so let me just take those two lines off. So this is the value area high, this is the value area low, and we're kind of rotational inside of that. And that's basically what we're trying to break now. We're trying to break above that value area high of the weekly and just see if we can go further up. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. So targets to the upside, like I said, will be the first level of resistance right about here, 4,200 points, and if we can break above that, then 4,320, something like that. And if we levels to the downside, obviously there's this red line here which is around about 4,100 points, and if we can stay above that, then we'll continue rotating upwards. If however we lose that level and we get below this low volume area here, then I think then 4,100 will become resistance, and if we get below this 4,000 mark, then the resistance, this support will turn to resistance as well. Okay, so this is the edge of yet another volume cluster there, so we just have to be mindful of that and be careful with that. So that's on the S&P. At the moment it does look like we've retested the edge of the high volume cluster and we're on our way up, so this is a good sign, and it's kind of a classic retest of a previous level of resistance, and SR flip, if you like, turning resistance into support. So it does look positive for the S&P, so let's hope it continues. On the Nasdaq, just make this a little bit bigger, like this. Okay, very much the same kind of scenario here. You can see that we tested basically, let me just take this off as well. Just bear with me just a second. There we are. Okay, so here on the 3-day chart, you can see that we had this low volume area here that was resistance that we broke way below it. Okay, so this level here is the level I want you to pay attention to. This here was the value area high of the 2020 VWAP, of the VWAP close, which was here. Okay, so this is the value area high and this is the value area low. And when we came down and we dumped, basically we bounced exactly at that level there. Okay, so we bounced there, we got a significant pump to the upside, in fact so big that we kind of broke straight through this low volume area. Like I said, low volume areas tend to act as resistance, or if we break through, it'll break with great speed and velocity, and that's exactly what happened here. Right now we are testing the value area low of the developing years VWAP. Okay, we got rejected there, so now we're kind of rotational in between either this low volume area, this area which was supposed to be resistance, it might have turned to support. Okay, I'm talking about this red line here, okay, which is a low volume, tiny little low volume dent in there, right? So we either bounce here and we continue upwards, or we'll go a little bit lower and we test this yellow line, which is basically around about 12,200 points, which is this low volume area here. And we could do something like this, come all the way down here, right? And then rally up. Okay, so as long as we are above this yellow line, this is basically the line in the sand, all right? If we get below this one and we come all the way down here, then I'm afraid that we're kind of below this big low volume area, right? And this will confirm it as resistance. So let me just kind of paint that scenario for you. Okay, let's say that we lose this, come all the way up here. Well, this low volume area will now become resistance. So even if we bounce up like this, it'll happen what happened here, and we go much lower. Okay, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. At the moment it does look bullish, but like I said, we mustn't become complacent, especially when there's so much change happening with the Fed. And like I said, I mean, most of it is already priced in because it's been announced in advance, but you never know what else they pull out of the bag. Okay, so we'll just have to keep that in mind. All right, I'll adjust this slightly. So there we are testing and being rejected at the currently developing yearly VWAP, value area low, I mean. Okay, break above this, and I think targets to the upside is basically here, around about 13,277 points, which is also a low volume area. Okay, and then we've got the yearly VWAP at 13, let's say 1,400 points, and then we've got the 2021 VWAP close at around about 14,470 points. Okay, so these are the targets to the upside, going just by volume profile. Okay, so let's move on to Bitcoin. That's basically what I'm seeing on the traditional finance. Let me just close those charts now. On Bitcoin, so let's start with the 3-day chart here. In fact, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to take these off for a second. I just want to highlight something here. Okay, I'm going to put it on the weekly chart since it is the beginning of a new month. And I just want to pull your attention to this particular candle here, right? So we're looking at this candle here. Now that candle was a order block, a weekly order block. So it's basically the last down candle, full-bodied candle before the impulse, way back in July 2021. Okay, this is basically an area of demand. And of course, when the price returned to it, it bounced a couple of times, 3 times it got tapped, and now we've gotten below it. Okay, so now we've gotten below it, and it does look like we're retesting it. So is this a bearish retest where we're testing this order block and we're going to carry on much lower? This is on the higher time frames, right? Or can we get above this and confirm that we are indeed going up? Okay, so if we can get above 35,000 like this, then I think we've got a very good chance to going a little bit further up. But at the moment, this is a retest regardless. Okay, we've gotten below. Take this magnet off because it's pissing me off. We've gotten below, we've tested it, and on the weekly it's not very clear, but it does look like we're still testing it. Okay, we're right at the bottom of this candle here, right, as you can see here from the crosshairs, right, from the line, the price line. All right, so this is basically a weekly level. We are testing it, and it remains to be seen if we can sort of like manage to break above that. Okay, that's the red rectangle that you guys can see out there. Okay, so let's have a look at this on the daily chart. In fact, no, let's put it on the 3-day because the daily is becoming a little bit crowded. And I'll take that. In fact, no, I'll leave that. That's fine. And before I put the VWAPs, I wanted to highlight something else. Okay, so basically I've got a fib retracement here from the swing low on the 10th of March, which is basically the COVID dump, right, that we had back in 2020 at the beginning of the lockdowns and all of that, right? And I pulled the swing low to the all-time highs, and the devil's pocket is exactly right round about where we bounced from. Okay, we've tested a 6.6, we come back to the 6.18, and it looks like we're bouncing here. So this is the this is the bullish case scenario. Okay, it looks like we've just tested that, and this is a bullish retest, and that we're going up. However, on the smaller time frames, you can see, and the Fibonacci alone is not just something to trade by, you need confluence. However, it does look like we are testing that weekly, that rectangle, if you remember, is the weekly order block, right? So let's get a little bit more context by adding the VWAPs, right? So we've tested the second standard deviation of the 2021 VWAP close. Okay, so this is the value area high, or the +1 standard deviation. This is the value area low, or the -1 if you like, and this is the basically the -2 second standard deviation. We tested it here, we bounced, and we gotten above the developing -2 standard deviation, the second standard deviation. Okay, and now where are we getting stumped? We're actually getting stumped on the value area low of the developing years VWAP. Okay, does that make sense? So this is the developing one here, right? So this is the value area low, and it's perhaps a little bit more helpful if I just take that off for a second. The second standard deviation, let's take that off. All right, and just delete that brush. So you can see here now, right? So this here is the value area high, this is the value area low for the 2021 VWAP, right? Which continues all the way up to here. However, this here, the squiggly line that you see in the middle, is basically the developing, or the current value area for the 2022 VWAP, okay? And we're testing the value area low, which is very clear there, okay? And that's basically where we getting stumped there, around about 32,500, okay? We've tested that, we got pretty close. We didn't quite tap it, but that's basically where we are right now. So it remains to be seen if we can actually get above that or not. I think if we can get back above this, this is a great sort of like line in the sand, if you like, for Bitcoin. If we can get above this, then I think we've got a very good chance to go into the current year's VWAP at round about $38,000. Okay, of course we've got the 2021 value area low still here that could cause a little bit of friction at 36,000. Okay, so that's the bullish case scenario if we go up on higher time frames, that is. Okay, so on the lower time frames, of course, if we get rejected here, then I think we're going to go much lower, and then we're going to test inevitably this low here that we've put in at 25,300. Okay, and when we're down there, then it depends really what we, you know, if we go all the way down here, then can we get back above this volume cluster, or are we just going to fail and go all the way down to 20k, perhaps 14k, something like that? There's no point of predicting. We trade level to level, so let's have a look at the smaller time frames and add a little bit of this was just for context of where we are, right? So I just want to add a second standard deviation there, and we want to see this on the lower time frames just to see if we can make a little bit more sense out of it. Okay, so let's move on to the quarterly, right, which is top right hand corner. On the quarterly, you can see that we've regained, this was previous resistance here, the value area low of the quarterly VWAP. So you can see here, we've regained that, we reclaimed it with quite a violent impulse. Okay, however, we've got a very low volume area here just above us, like I said, around about 32k, right? So 32k, we didn't manage to close convincingly above that. If we could close convincingly above that, then I think the price will just teleport all the way to 35, 36k, right? Just because you can see there's a discrepancy in volume here, where this is the low volume area and this is a higher volume cluster, right? So regardless of that, just in terms of context, we are above the value area low of the quarterly VWAP. Looking at the monthly VWAP here, so the monthly VWAP reset yesterday or today at midnight, if you like. Okay, and you can see that we've been rotational back inside. Sorry, just make this a little bit bigger like this so you guys can see. I might even take this range off, and you can see that basically once we reclaimed it, we dumped, right? We reclaimed it, and it's kind of been rotational inside of it. Okay, tested it here and here and here, right? And we've been kind of rotational inside it. Okay, so now we've tested the monthly VWAP just as it resets, of course, right? And right now we're just just above that monthly VWAP. So if we can stay above this, the previous monthly close, right, which is around about 31,400, and the current month's VWAP, okay, now at the moment it's kind of not being really respected. It's kind of going like this inside it, which we'll see in the lower time frames. But if we can stay above this level around about 31,400, then I think we've got a very good chance to going all the way up to here, 34,500. Okay, so we'll have to see if we've got confluence on the other time frames. So let's have a look at all the charts together. I'm going to put this on the 1 hour, just so that it adds a little bit of confluence there. I'm going to delete that range there just for a second. So you can see here we're kind of inside. We're inside the weekly, right? So this is the value area high of the weekly VWAP, right? And we've just tested that edge there, and we're kind of getting rejected there. However, this was the test that we've just had to the upside. However, in terms of context, we've had two massive impulses, right? This one and this one here, okay? Impulse, the price ranged for a little while. Impulse again, this is bullish, right? There's no two ways about it. This is definitely bullish. However, none of these inefficient moves to the upside have been retested, okay? So that makes it a little bit more fragile, right? So I wouldn't be surprised to see this kind of come and reclaim or rotate back inside to the value area low of the weekly, and maybe even test the previous week's VWAP close here all the way back down at 29,400. We'll have to wait and see, okay? But those are the levels to the downside if you are looking to trade into a short. All right, so again, context for the upside, like I said on the last technical analysis update, this is the value area high of the week closing on the 15th. Okay, basically we retested that, right, the confluence with that level that I've been banging on about, which was basically the monthly VWAP and a weekly level that we had there at $31,800. Okay, you remember that I told you about this level here, right? So what happens, we tested that, we swing failure pattern back above it. Now we're below it, we've tested that again, and it looks like we're being rejected. So like I say, as long as we stay above this previous month VWAP close, right, the 31,400 level, then I think we've got a very good chance of carrying on up. Okay, but we have to break above this weekly level, all right? And there's, like I said, there's very little volume all the way to 36,000 or 35,000, whatever it's called. Yeah, 35,500, let's say. All right. So that's what I'm saying for the upside. Okay. So basically, if I was to look, just take this weekly level up like that. If I was to look at this level here, right, it's very close to yet another value area low of the weekly there. Okay. It's very close to that, and that's sitting at around about 35,500. So that's basically one of the first targets if we are indeed to move to the upside. If we look on the top right hand corner chart, you can see that this level here, so the value area high of the monthly VWAP, also has confluence with the quarterly VWAP way up here on the top right hand corner, as you can see that there, right? So, and also this is pretty damn close to the value area low of the 2021 VWAP, right? Pretty close. So all this adds confluence that this will be a strong level of resistance, around about 35k. All right, so if we do break to the upside, I think 35k could be a little bit of resistance, but on the greater scale of things, you can see that it's like, you know, this is a whole new volume cluster here. So I think we've got a very good chance to carry on moving up all the way to 45,000, perhaps 40,000 could, you know, it's a point of control there, right? And it's also where the current year's VWAP is. So that will be no doubt resistance. But if it's very bullish on the S&P and the Nasdaq, and we carry on moving up with a bear market rally, then I think this could potentially be where we get capped at around about $45,000. But there's no point in predicting it. We just trade level to level, right? So if we move up, 35,000 is definitely a level of interest for Confluence. If we move down, then I'm looking at 28,200 yet again, right? Which is this level here on the bottom right hand corner, right? And we're looking at that level yet again for support. Okay, it's the edge of this high volume cluster here. All right, and we've left some equal lows below there. Okay, and the equal lows, you can see that there's a low there and there's another low there. If I was to put a trend line from one to the other, okay, and delete all those brush marks. Now you guys can see that there, right? It's pretty damn close. Okay, so those are equal lows that haven't been taken out. That's an anomaly, and it is potentially a target if we break to the downside. Okay, so basically the key level is this monthly VWAP right now. Okay, so around about 31,400. All right, so the line in the sand, if you like. Okay, so like I said to you guys before, there's a fixed range there, right? So we've been ranging here for quite some time. Let's put it the highlighter. Okay, so this was the range low here. This was the range high. And like I said to you many times, we've broken above the range, okay? And now we could come and test that, the low of the range, right? So if we break below that monthly VWAP, it's not the end of the world, but we do definitely want to see a bounce at this level at around about 30,500, okay? That basically means that we're retesting the high of this range here, and then we could bounce there. So this is perhaps a great opportunity for a long. However, if we get below back inside of this range here, the likelihood that we get back above it is very slim. So this here will be an entry for a short, and I'll be targeting those levels on there that we were talking about. Okay, so in terms of setups, that's what I'd be looking for. All right, so again, you know, 31,400 wants to hold here. Okay, that's the more bullish case scenario. We do have a previous high there. This is basically, we've retested that already, so we could just kind of rally from here. If we do, then fantastic. If, however, we lose that level, it's not the end of the world, but we definitely want to see the last port of call here at around about 30,500, something like that, as a bounce, right? We want to see that if we are to move to the upside. All right, so for a safe short, if you like, and a very conservative and safe short, what you want to do is you want to wait and see if we can break below this range. If we break below the range high, then watch out, because the top will most likely be resistance, that range high, okay, and that's the signal that you want for a short. Okay, you know, similarly, like I said, if we do come all the way down here and then we can start rallying, and it starts rallying back up, then I think that's a pretty good damn opportunity, and I think there's a very good chance that we carry on up and actually do go up to those levels there. So we'll just have to wait and see how this all plays out, but you've got a couple of ideas there for a trading plan if you are indeed planning to trade this on the higher time frames. So that's all I've got here for Bitcoin, on Bitcoin versus USD. So let's have a look at Exocharts, and I think we will start with the volume profile, and I won't look at the monthly and the weekly again because not really much has changed in that sense. So we'll just start with the daily, and the daily volume profile, this goes back about 3 years. Okay, so you can see that we've taken some naked points of control down below. We've left some in its wake, okay, on this last move up. As we moved up, we didn't take out this one, which is still an anomaly, around about 27,500. We've also left a naked point of control here at 29,000, and yet another one at 30,500. So this is 30,500 is that naked point of control, which is basically right on the top of that range there, right? So let me just put that as a red zone, if you like. Okay. So as you can see, this is the top of the range, this previous resistance. Okay, can it confirm this as support? Well, if it does, that's basically that naked point of control there, 30,570 is a key level for the downside, right? For a bounce, I mean. So 30,500 does need to hold. Okay, otherwise it's game over. But this could well rally from here. Potentially it could. Okay, and if it does, 34,500, again near that 35,000 mark, is the first point of control there. So it will probably cause a little bit of resistance there. As you can see, there's some low volume areas just above it as well. So this could potentially be as high as it goes for now, okay? And we could then just do something like I showed you on the candlestick chart. We could potentially just do something like this, go all the way up to here. That's crap. Let's try again. If we are to rally up, we could just come all the way up here, overshoot it a little bit to look at 35,000, which is that low volume area, okay, and then punish some of the late bulls by going all the way back down to here. All right, potentially even that low volume node at 31k, and then just kind of rotate inside of there and do another little range there. So we'll have to wait and see, but you know, in context, let me just take that off. In context, if we look at it like this, there's not much in the way of volume there, right? So there's a big gap there between 35,000 and 37,500. So this will be resistance without a shadow of a doubt. But if we do break above that, then this will be the next level of resistance at 37,500. And 37,500 is a big level of resistance, as we've got all this consolidation there forming that high volume cluster. Okay, so note that 37,500. All right, so let's just see if we can get at least to 35,000 first and confirm that we are indeed in a bear market rally. So moving on from there, let's move on to the market profile for the day. I've changed my TPO chart a little bit, so I do apologize if it's a little bit confusing, but I'll just go over some of the key points that I'm looking for right now. Okay, so in yesterday's profile, although we did leave an excess there, which basically there's no anomaly there, right? You can see that we've left nice little prints at the top, so there's an excess, so there's not a poor low, that's a good high, sorry, not a poor high, it's a good high. However, you can see here how much in delta. Just going to highlight it like this just to make it a little bit easier. Okay, you can see that this area here is basically delta positive, so there's a lot of trapped longs up there. Okay, so if the price was to come all the way up from here and test that area around about 32,200, something like that, it's very likely that these guys will want to get out of break even. Okay, if they get out of break even, it's going to push the price down, right? It's resistance because these guys are long, right? So the price comes back to them. For them to get out of break even, they have to sell. So that's going to be resistance for now. Okay, 32,000 continues to be resistance, right? 32,200, something like that. An interesting thing that I saw here is that basically we've left a poor high here, right on the edge of that, right? So 31,970. So let's say 32k. It's a poor high. That's an anomaly. I wouldn't be surprised to see the price rally up there, print a nice little wick, leave some excess behind, and then move down. Okay, or move up. But regardless of that, you know, we could leave some single prints behind without a shadow of a doubt, just like we did here, just like we did here. But either way, so this was a poor high here, right? And then when the price rallied, it left a single print below. So that's what I'm seeing right now in terms of like short-term time frame for levels for the upside. Okay, break above this, and I think it's off to the races to 35k. If we cannot break above this, then I think this is a good entry for a short, and I'll be targeting these levels down here. First of all, the weekly VWAP is down here at 31,250. We've got some single prints around about 31,000, and then more importantly, we've got some naked points of control here, the volume and the time-based one at right about 30,600. We've also got a VWAP close, a daily close here from the day of the impulse, which was basically on the 30th. I think that was Friday, Saturday, and we that's basically untested, untapped, right? We've also got some poor lows there and some poor lows here. All right, so again, that's an anomaly. The weekly VWAP, poor lows, we've got naked points of control and a daily VWAP close, session VWAP close that is untapped, right? And we've also got some single prints down here and a naked point of control and another VWAP close at around about 29,180. So should it fail at 32k and it goes to the downside and falls back inside of that range below that 30,500, then 31,500, was it 31,500? 30,500, okay, back inside the previous range. So if it goes below that 30,500, right? So let me just recap that a second. So just to put things into context, because I know some of you guys don't look at this. I'm looking at this area here, right? $30,500. If we look at Exocharts, where is that? $30,500 is exactly where these naked points of control are. Okay, so we could basically come all the way down here and then bounce from there. However, if we get below that, then it's fucking game over, and I think we're going to fill out these single prints, take out this naked point of control, and perhaps even this VWAP close all the way down at 28k. All right, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But as you can see here, this is basically that range that we were talking about. That's not what I was looking for. Wrong tool. Do apologize for that. This is the range that we're talking about, right? So it's slightly lower, but there's a naked point of control there, right? Which is basically what we were looking for on the candlesticks, right? So this remains a key level, and the line in the sand is perhaps not 31,400, but it is actually. Just keep putting fucking lines on there. Just do apologize for that. Yeah, 30,500 is the line in the sand, really, okay? If we do not bounce there, then I think we're going to go much lower. However, if the price does retrace here, there could potentially be a really nice short, correcting those anomalies at 32k, all right? Relieve some of these guys that are trapped at the top, right? Let them out, okay? And let them out at break even, correct this anomaly here, and then go much lower and test this weekly VWAP and also test these naked points of control. That's basically what I'm seeing on the shorter time frame, okay? Lose this and it's fucking game over, and we think we're going to go much lower. But this could potentially be 30,500, like I said on the candlesticks, is a level of interest, all right? And if you are in the short from 32k, that's where you want to close the trade, or at least take a great majority of the profit. All right, so that's basically it for Bitcoin, at least for today. I will have another technical analysis update for you guys on Wednesday. But for now, let's move on to Ethereum. And we start here with the 3-day chart, okay? So again, I've got these volume zones, which is basically just the, it's a representation of these high volume clusters, right? You can see here. So we kind of came all the way down here. We kind of tested this edge. It's basically a shelf in volume there, right? We've tested that. That's around about, what's that, $1,800. And we've rallied back up with an engulfing candle there. And we're kind of looking to see if we can retest this area here, the area of imbalance, basically this low volume area here, around about $2,060, $2,050. All right. So if we can test that, that's still a good opportunity for a short, okay, up here. However, like I said to you guys last week, if we reclaim back into inside this high volume cluster here, which is basically the green rectangle, then I'll be looking for a retest of this $2,050 level, right? And I want to see that hold as support. That would confirm the thesis that this is indeed bullish, and that is a bullish retest, okay? If that's a bullish retest and you see the price curling up, then it's time to enter a long position, and you'll be targeting $2,800. However, if the price comes all the way up here and then falls back inside of this range, then you can be damn sure that 2050 will continue to be resistance, and that's a really good entry for a short. And again, you'll be targeting these levels down here at around about $1,500. Okay, so that's on the higher time frames, and I'm just looking at the balance areas without looking at the VWAPs, right? So let's have a look at the VWAPs, and let me just take out that second standard deviation yet again, just to make it a little bit less confusing. Okay, so here we are. This is basically the value area low of the 2021 VWAP. That's the value area high. That's the 2021 VWAP close, right? Basically, the VWAPs are lining up perfectly, and the developing years VWAP and the 2021 VWAP, last year's VWAP, are basically lining up exactly around about $2,800. Okay, we bounced on that dump. We bounced not once but twice here on the value area low of the 2021 VWAP, and right now we are above it. Okay, so significant level of resistance is developing value area low here at around about $2,200. Okay, so even if we do claim that 2050, we want to look out for, okay, so even if we do claim that 2050, we want to look out for, okay, so even if we do claim that 2050, we want to look out for, okay, so even if we do claim that 2050, we want to look out for, okay, so even if we do claim that 2050, we want to look out for, okay, so even if we do claim that 2050, we want to look out for, okay, so even if we do claim that 2050, we want to look out for, okay, so even if we do claim that 2050, we want to look out for, okay, so even if we do claim that 2050, we want to look out for, okay, so even if we do claim that 2050, we want to look out for, okay, so even if we do claim that 2050, we want to look out for, okay, so even if we do claim that 2050, we want to look out for, okay, so even if we do claim that 2050, we want to look out for, okay, so even if we do claim that 2050, we want to look out for, okay, so even if we do claim that 2050, we want to look out for, okay, so even if we do claim that 2050, we want to look out for, okay, so even if we do claim that 2050, we want to look out for, okay, so even if we do claim that 2050 right? Even if we reclaim this green rectangle, you want to look out for this level here, right? Because 2,250 is also a little low volume node. There's a little ledge there, right? And the price could literally just retrace from there, right? So there's no need of FOMOing if this goes straight back into the green, right? If it goes into the green rectangle. So let me just rephrase that. If the price breaks back inside of this green rectangle, this will most likely cause a little bit of resistance. So I expect the price to come back and retest this imbalance, okay? This low volume area here around about $2,000. If the price bounces there, it's bullish, and we're going all the way up to that yearly VWAP around about $2,800. If the price does not bounce there and falls back inside of this range, then you wait for the retest of that $2,000, and that's the entry for the short, okay? So I think that I've made that pretty clear in terms of context, especially now with the balance areas and the VWAPs. Right, so that's on the higher time frames. You can see what's going on. On the lower time frames, let's have a look at see if we can find any confluence. So we're finally back inside of that range. Let's start here with the 12 hours. On the 12 hour here on Bybit. Now you can see that we haven't even tested this value area low of the quarterly. We got very close, but we didn't quite test it. Even if we get all the way up there, you can see above here, there's just nothing in terms of volume above $2,100, $2,200. Okay, so again, I do expect that to be a little bit of resistance going up. Okay, so on the 4 hour chart, which is basically the monthly VWAP, you can see that the monthly VWAP reset here, right? $2,200. So again, yet another level that you want to be looking for, 2,200, 2,100 and something as a level of resistance. This was the previous range, as you can see here. We were ranging inside of there, we deviated from that range, and we got acceptance back inside it. Okay, at first it did look like it was get rejected from the range lows, but we smashed straight back inside it. We kind of came a little bit lower. We just managed to get above the monthly VWAP, the current month's VWAP, right? Which basically just reset tonight at midnight. But now we're below this point of control here. If we've reclaimed that point of control, which is basically around about 1962, right? I think we've got a very good chance to going at least to the top of the range, around about $2,100, and reclaim that balance area. Okay, which is, what is that? No. Yeah, the green area is way up here. Okay, so if we can reclaim this point of control here at 1959, I think we've got a very good chance to coming in testing that level of $2,000 and perhaps even $2,200, right? Which is where that low volume node is. So on the higher time frames, I showed you already what those levels were. Now I'm showing you here on the lower time frames in terms of confluence. Okay, so there's a good trade to be had here, right? Reclaim this level, and I think we're good to go all the way to the upside. If we cannot reclaim that level, then I'm afraid it's down, and most possibly means that Bitcoin is also going down, and Ethereum will probably revisit these lows here around about $1,700, and maybe even lower to around about $1,500. Okay, so I believe that that is the bottom of this range here, right? I hope that makes sense. Yeah, let me just read some of the comments just to make sure. Good day, Jay. I almost said pounds. Yeah, I always get confused with pounds and dollars. I'd be happy with a retest at $30,600. Yeah, that would be really good. Like I said, that is a key level. 30,500, 30,600 would be fantastic for a bounce. I'm not interested in longs unless we actually reclaim that first. Of course, I might be left behind, but in terms of risk, I think I'm much better taking a long from down there than taking a long from up here, if that makes any sense. But anyway, moving away from that, let's carry on with Ethereum. And so we are basically back inside of the range, but we are below that point of control. Okay, if we get above the point of control, we've got a very good chance to visit the top of the range, right about this level here. If we cannot reclaim that, and we do indeed get rejected, then I think, depending on Bitcoin, I think we've got a very good chance of going all the way down to $1,500. We'll have to pay attention to what Bitcoin's doing, just like anything. anything that is not Bitcoin, right? If Bitcoin goes up, everything goes up. If Bitcoin goes down, everything goes down. It's just the way it is. So I think there's plenty of confluence there of what I've just given you. I can put a little, let me just take those balance areas off a second. Right, so we're looking on the bottom left-hand corner here at the weekly, sorry, it's a 30-minute chart, but I'm looking at the weekly view app, all right? So I'm going to put here, just see if there's any confluence. Okay. That line that I've just put there, as you can see here, it's from the weekly close of the 15th of May, right? So that's the view app close. It's not been tested yet, okay? We basically closed right up here, right? But we didn't quite test it, so that remains untested. So that's 2,171. That line is also visible. I'll just make it a little bit bigger, right? It's also visible here on the 4-hour chart with the monthly view app, and you can see that it's exactly where the monthly view app closed, right? It's, you know, a few dollars away from there, maybe about $10. So again, that's a really important level. It's also got like that low volume area, so it's all confluent with that low volume node there and the edge of the balance, right? Where is it? God damn it. Yeah, so that's the one there. Right, so you can see there's basically, again, edge of the balance there and a very confluent area there. So I'm making a bit of a long meal out of this, but I'm just trying to explain here that even if we do go up, right, it doesn't mean that we're going to fucking 100K, right? We got plenty of resistance above, right? So just pay attention to these levels as we're going up, okay? $2,200 is definitely resistance until proven otherwise, okay? However, there is nice trades to be had going from the bottom of the range to the top of the range, right? Like you can see here, right? Top of the range down to the bottom, top of the range down to the bottom, okay? Deviation back inside the range. We're at the bottom of the range. Where do we go now? Top of the range. Could we deviate above? Yeah, of course, we deviated there. So we could deviate above and go all the way to that monthly view app close, right? So just, you know, there's plenty of trades to be had on the lower time frames, okay? You don't have to just stick to the higher time frames. But I like to doing my technical analysis on a zoomed out view so that it becomes a little bit more contextual, and also so it doesn't run out after a couple of days, just in case there is an impulse and some volatility in the markets, right? Because I could be doing this technical analysis update right now, and then in about 3 hours, it'll be completely outdated if I'm doing this on the lower time frames. So that's why I'm doing on the higher time frames. So I think that's the levels to the upside. I've given you 1,500 as the levels to the downside. So perhaps 1,800 first, 1,850 to the downside. Just recap that. Got the value area low here of the monthly, right? $1,850, 1,860 level to the downside, right? Failed that and we're going to $1,500 if Bitcoin plays bearish. All right, break above this naked point of control here, this range point of control at 1960, and I think we've got a very good chance of going to the top of the range at least, perhaps even retest this monthly view app at around about $2,200. So that's what I'm saying on Ethereum BTC. Let's have a look at Exocharts and see if I can spot anything on the market profile that looks interesting. Plenty of anomalies above and below. I can see that already. We've got a naked point of control. We've got a nice little excess at the bottom there, but we've got a naked point of control at around about $1,900. We've got also another naked point of control at $1,967, and then a naked point of control at $2,050. Okay, so those are kind of like the closest naked points of control that we've got above and below us. Okay, failed $1,900, and I think we've got a very good chance of going to $1,800 as a naked point of control there, and we could potentially even go lower. But $1,800 right now is that sort of time-based point of control that is naked and untapped, right? We did leave a pull low down there as well. Okay, so that's an anomaly. In fact, we've left a few. We've got this one here, got this one here. So this one is at around about 1,700. We've got another one at 1,760. and another one around about $1,800, which is where that naked point of control is. So plenty of levels to the downside. I wouldn't be surprised to see these get taken out before we go down. However, if we take them and then move up, then you know that $2,200 level is an important level. Okay, just put that in just to make it a little bit more sense. Don't know how slow that is. It's pretty damn slow. Here we go. So in fact, it's probably a little bit too. Let me just try that and change that to 5 months. So that we can see the low volume areas there, right? So you can see that there's a low volume area there. A little bit clearer like that. Right, low volume there between 2,100 2,250, and then there's another one at $2,500. Okay, and if we break above that, like I said, the edge of the balance is around about 2,800, something like that, right? But we'll have to look at it a little bit more closely. But this is not surprising why it's acting its resistance, because there's hardly any volume there. So if we do smash above it and it goes all the way up to $2,500, it'll be quick and it'll probably be explosive. But just bear in mind that we still do have some levels up that we need to clear first. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing on Ethereum versus USD. Let's move on to Ethereum BTC, because this has gone on for way too long already. So we start here with the higher time frame. Let me just take some of these brush marks off. I'm going to take off the levels of support and resistance. I don't know what that fib line is doing there, but okay. So I've got 2 standard deviations yet again on this. Okay, I'm going to take them off just for the minute, and then I'm going to hide them. Okay, so just looking at it like this, you can see that Ethereum BTC was showing a little bit of strength on the way up. However, with very high volume, we broke to the downside. Like I said to you guys last week, this remains a key level here, this trend line. It's not really been tested. You could argue that it got retested there, but it's not really been retested. Okay, so in terms of resistance, I've got a really big red line there as well, right? And I'll explain to you why in just a second. This is basically a cross section. You can see that it's the high volume cluster. Sorry, it's the point of control of this high volume cluster here, right, for starters. So there's a point of control there. On top of that, it's basically where the trend line is, right? A retest of that trend line is very likely to cause resistance. On top of that, we've also got the 2022 VWAP, the developing years VWAP, and it's also the value area high of the 2021 VWAP there. This is the VWAP close in 2021. That's the value area high. And where does it point to? Well, it points exactly to the same area. So significant resistance there, and that's why I've put a little red line there. That's 70,500 sats. Okay, if we can break above that, then I think we've got a very good chance. If we can break above this like this, very good chance of respecting this trend line yet again and going up. Right, but until then, that is resistance until proven otherwise. Okay, levels of support. I think first, don't know why this one is in. Just bear with me just a second. This should be in resistance. Okay, so levels of support. It does hold. It looks like we're holding here, right? And I'm not entirely sure why. Perhaps because there's a little low volume node there. Low volume area here, right? Oh, it's 60,000 sats. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, 60,000 sats is a big round number, so of course 60,000 is holding at the moment. Okay, so we could put a little line there. Why not? Let's just do that. Be quick. Right about 60,000 sats, like that. Okay, it's not very accurate. Let's do that. 59,000, 60,000, there we go. All right, so that's an important level, and it is actually holding as support right now. So these are the levels of support. If we are to go to the downside, I think this one here going forward is important, but more important one is this one here, okay? So with a strong impulse to the downside, or if Bitcoin decides to rally and leaves Ethereum behind, Ethereum will continue to be outperformed and will most likely come and revisit that level there, okay? That's around about 53,500 sats, this one here, okay? That's the 2021 VWAP close. However, if we do bounce here, like I said, levels of resistance way above us here. We've got a level of resistance here right now, this one, right, which is around about 64,000 sats. It's a big, very obvious low volume area. But if we break above that, I think this one is almost as significant. This one here is the one that you want to be looking for, around about 70,500 sats. Okay, so we could potentially, if we break above here like this, we could potentially go all the way up to this level there. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing right now. I don't know why I'm still on the 3-day chart. Let's go on to the daily. Makes a little bit more sense like that. All right, so break above this one here, and I think we've got a very good chance to going all the way up there. The reason why this level is there, as you can see here, we consolidated for a little while. When we broke down from it, we retested it, and that we confirmed that as resistance. As you can see here, we got rejected there. Is it significant? Well, not really, not that much, but it is potentially resistance. Okay, so we'll have to wait and see. This remains the interesting level, and this down here remains another interesting level. So overall, I think we could form a little range here, like so. Okay, but we'll have to wait and see. So now you've got some levels for the downside, levels to the upside as well. And I think that's pretty much it for Ethereum versus BTC. So again, just a quick reminder that it really doesn't matter what technical analysis update I do on all of these coins, Ethereum or altcoins. If Bitcoin's going down, it will drag everything down with it. If Ethereum's going up, it will drag everything up with it. Okay, so with that in mind, let's move on, and we'll start with the lending platforms, lending tokens, and FODL is the first one. FODL versus USDT on OkEx. So the DeFi coins lending markets, that's what I was trying to say. All right, so right now it does look like we're kind of finding support here and resistance there. All right, like I said, this is a little bit of a fickle level because we're just basing it on big round numbers. However, we are starting to see a little bit of a volume cluster forming there. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to put that as green for support. I'm going to change this one. I'm going to delete that one, even though it's 7 cents. And I'm just going to use that as the next level of resistance. Okay, so right now I think that the price will rotate between these two levels here. All right, so let me just delete that and see if I can do this on a smaller time frame like this, and if it does give me a better, there we go. So that's one range. Okay, if we break down from this level of support, I think this level here at 5 cents should be a decent level of support, right? If we break above 7 cents, I think the next level of resistance will be all the way up here, potentially this one, because this is the value area low of that yearly VWAP, right? But this up here is more interesting for me because, as you can see here, it's previous support. We broke down from it and we've not tested it. So that really up there is the significant level of resistance that I'm looking for. Okay, so I'm going to leave these two as yellow. I'm not really interested so much in these levels here, although there is potentially resistance there. But you know, like I said to you guys last week, this is a large, liquid, inefficient move, right? If we look at this on the daily, you can see that the price traveled very, very quickly all the way down there, right? So these tend to get filled back up. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the price go really, really quick all the way back up to this resistance here. So we'll have to wait and see, and that's at 13 cents, okay? Of course, 10 cents, this one here is a big round number, and it is close to the value area low of the developing years VWAP, so it could potentially also be a decent level of resistance. But, you know, they're kind of a little bit wishy-washy since they are in the middle of nothing, right? There's hardly any volume there. It's a bit of a vacuum, if you like, as you can see here. vacuum in volume means that we will get stopped at the edge of a high volume cluster. So that's what I'm seeing on FODL versus USDT. I can't tell you if it's going to go up or if it's going to go down. It all depends on Bitcoin, of course, but at least now you've got some levels to the downside and some levels to the upside. Unfortunately, levels to the downside are just big round numbers and they're a little bit arbitrary, but it's just the way it is, right? So nothing really changed for FODL versus USDT. Let's have a look at FODL versus USDC. Again, the same kind of scenario, right? So we're kind of hovering here at support. There's a potential level of resistance here, but this one here is a significant level of resistance. As you can see that even though we broke down with significant volume, these are large, inefficient candles all the way down, okay? So you can argue that, in fact, we could form a little range here, okay? With potentially this yellow line forming a little bit of friction here. But if we do break above this one, right, there's hardly anything in terms of volume there, like I highlighted before here with this green line. So I think this here will be the next level of resistance, okay? And that would be a big range, okay? Hopefully, if we get all the way up there, what we'll do is we'll reclaim it. We'll go like this, confirm that as support, and we'll go up and test the next level of resistance, okay? And we kind of want to form a range inside of here, really, right? So above 14 cents, 14 to 18 cents, to regain this kind of range here. But we'll have to wait and see if that can happen. For the time being, I'm just giving you sort of like the more immediate levels, and the more immediate levels are, like I said, resistance and support right there, okay? Void in volume there means that the price will travel very quickly through that one. If we break down, then we're looking at big round numbers such as 5 cents for the next level of support. So very much the same thing as FODL versus USDT. FODL versus ETH, I don't think anything's changed there. So overall, you can see here this big yellow line is a bigger range, if you like, okay? Although potentially, let me change that to orange. Potentially, we can see this orange line acting as a little bit of resistance as well. So will we form a range below that orange line, or will we form a range above? Or will we just completely obliterate it and just range between those two levels? All right, so usually after an impulse you see a range. That's kind of why I'm seeing it. Impulse, range, impulse, range. So basically balance, imbalance, balance, and we move from balance to balance. That's basically what happens with all assets, right? So we'll just have to wait and see. And this is why I keep giving you ranges and potential areas for impulse. But I don't want to sort of like explain things too much. You just have to kind of like learn as you go, if you like. All right, but that's basically what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that this here is an interesting level of resistance for sure. This here is an interesting level of support, and potentially the middle line could be a division between two ranges. Okay, so we can have a little range here, and we can have another little range down here, like so. All right, so if we move to the downside, we're looking at 300,000 way as a level of support. On BNB versus, so this is Binance coin, BNB versus USD. We are looking, I'm not sure why, let me just delete all these lines. I'm not sure what happened there. Okay, so right now it's very clear that this is basically the top of the range. This here is acting as support, which is, as you can see, the 2021 VWAP close. Right, make this a little bit closer like this. Right, so this is the VWAP close. If I just take those lines off for a second to put things into context, that's basically where we're bouncing right now. Okay, we went way below, we reclaimed it, and now it's acting as support. Right, levels of resistance is around about $382. Okay, which also has confluence with the developing value area low for the year. So the range is this one here until proven otherwise. Break down below that, and I think this one here will be the next level of support. And if we break above that, then the yearly VWAP, the current year's VWAP, will be the next level of resistance. And so if we do get all the way up there, I expect this previous level of resistance turn to support. and therefore we'll probably range inside of there like that. Okay, so 3 potential ranges there to trade BNB versus USD. Okay, right now we're kind of $314. Let's wait and see if $300 will hold as support, or if indeed this previous year's VWAP will hold as support at $292. Okay, so this is the range that you want to be looking for. All right, at the moment, that's kind of where we're stuck. Moving on to Binance versus BTC. Nothing really much to add there. Okay, so last week I told you that we kind of like broke above that, but then we closed back inside. So again, like those volume areas like I was doing on Bitcoin, right? We got 2 rectangles here, right? So this is previous range. Previous range there, that's previous range high. Came all the way back down again. We bounced here on this line, came back inside of the range, which is this gray box here, right? When we go back inside of the gray box, we tested the range high, but we got rejected pretty damn hard, right? And here, we retested that, and it confirmed that there is indeed resistance, and we've got no chance of entering this volume cluster here, right? So as a result, the price goes down. Where will it likely to bounce? Well, it's likely to bounce at the yearly VWAP. So, which is this line here, this blue line here, right? And that's exactly where we're holding right now, as you can see here from the price, right? That's exactly where we're not even testing the bottom of the range here. We're just bouncing straight on that yearly VWAP. So you can see that these carry weight. However, you could see a little deviation to the downside, and then that's when this level comes into play, and that's why I've got a little arrow there showing that this is the range. Okay, so again, we've got 2 ranges inside one big range, if that makes any sense, right? So again, we could bounce here and come and test this level here that is resistance yet again until proven otherwise, or if we break down below that, then this is the next level of support, and I'll be looking for the price to start ranging in the bottom half of this big range. Okay, just like we did here, like so. Okay, so at the moment we are kind of approaching the bottom of the range. I would probably not take a trade just here, right? If I was to take a trade, I'd probably much prefer to take a trade way down here like that. I'd have my invalidation somewhere around about here, and I'll be targeting that level there. That's still a 2-hour trade, right? Even if you're a little bit more generous with your stop loss and put it below the value area low here, right, then you've still got 1.8 hour trade, right? 1.9, almost a 2-hour trade there. So, you know, these ranges are important, and of course you can look at this on the 12-hour or even on the 4-hour chart, and you can see that they're basically being respected, right? These levels are being respected. As you can see here, gone from the highs there to the lows. We'd bounced there quite a few times, right? Then we bounced way below. We kind of struggled here at the yearly VWAP. Once we broke above that, we tested the previous balance, and then we came down inside, tested that balance again, got rejected, and then we kind of slowly bled all the way to that VWAP. So just keep that in mind and just see where we're going to go to next, right? So I've given you some levels to the upside, I've given you some levels to the downside, but it's pretty damn clear that this here is resistance, this here is support, and then this here will be the next level of support if we do get all the way down there. Okay, so again, range down here if we get to the bottom half, or range up here if we stay in the top half. All right, we basically, to get acceptance inside of this one, means we kind of like smash inside it, like just like we did here, but we don't fall back inside the gray area, right? We kind of come all the way down here, confirm that this is support. If the price starts curling up, yeah, that's definitely a long position, and we'll be targeting the other side of the range all the way up here. Okay, so it'll be doing something like that. All right, I hope that is clear. So moving on to Binance versus ETH. So that was indeed a deviation, right? So this is on the daily chart, so we actually confirmed that deviation already. So if the price does rally all the way up here and comes and tests this level at around about what is that, 1,677 way, right? I do expect this to be a rejection, and I'll be taking a short position, something like that. putting the stop above these previous highs, and I'll be targeting the middle of the range. That's a 2-hour trade, right? So I'll be looking at that for the next range, this yellow line here, okay? Just delete some of these lines so it makes it a little bit clearer, right? So this here is resistance, this here should be support. However, we've got the yearly VWAP here as well, right? So this could potentially deviate a little bit lower, right? However, if it deviates lower and it cannot get back above this green line, then I think that means we've got acceptance inside of this range, and so we'll be trading this second yellow arrow, this one here. Okay, so we've got two little ranges here going on. All right, so again, you can argue that this is a bigger range with two small ranges inside it, right? And you wouldn't be wrong, because as you can see here, you can see the big volume distribution here, like that. All right. So, yeah, weird distribution here going on, right? But I think that kind of, I hope that makes it clear. We just delete all of these brushes and make it sort of, try and make it a little bit clearer for everyone. Okay, so this is a big volume cluster here, right? We've got some divisions there. In fact, I'm going to delete this green line because it's perhaps a little bit arbitrary there. I'm going to put that there. I'm going to delete this one. Just try and simplify things a little bit. Okay, and this gray box here is potentially another area. So let's just say that this is the range here, and if we fall below that one, then this is a little mini range that we're going to find ourselves in, right? We basically don't want to go back inside of this gray box here, this blue box or whatever. If we do, then that's yet another range, and we'll be stuck below that one. Okay, that's basically these low volume areas here. All right, so we want to stay on the upper range in order to stay bullish, and I think we've got a very good possibility of testing this level of resistance first and finding a short all the way down to the yearly VWAP at around about 1415 way. Okay, break above this one, and then it's off to the races, with this being a little bit of resistance at round about, what's that, 1837, 0.1837, right? And then potentially this one here being a level of resistance moving up. As you can see, there's a little volume cluster there where basically we'd been consolidating here, right? This is previous level of support that broke down and is untested, so that's going to be a high probability trade for resistance. So I'll put another little arrow there just in case. All right, bit of a thorough one today, but I just want to make everything clear, because there's no reason why you guys shouldn't be trading this. Everybody says it's chop, but it's actually a really decent decent market to be trading in. Okay, so let's delete this little scribble here. In fact, let's delete the whole fucking lot. AAVE versus USD. Right now we've tested above, as you can see here, this is the value area low. This is a previous level of resistance. We've smashed above it, and we're kind of trying to hold it as support. So I'm going to put this as an orange line, because it's not red and it's not green, it's a mix of both, right? So if that holds as support, I think this will be the next range here. This will be support, and this here will be resistance. Okay, so this would be the next range. With this line here, I'm going to change it slightly. I'm going to make it as orange, and I'm going to make it as a dashed line, make it a little bit sort of like fainter, like that. Okay, overall that would be the next range. You can see here, that's basically the yearly VWAP right here, right? Previous level of support, we broke down, tested that here, confirmed that that is indeed resistance, and so it's resistance. Okay, that's if we hold this as support. If we do not hold that as support, then we've got this level here that could potentially hold as support as well, and more levels down at the bottom as well. Okay, but I think this is the range that we're going to stay in. If not, then this potentially could be a tiny little range there. Shit candle, like that. All right, So that's what I'm saying. Of course, if we break above that and if it gets really, really bullish, then this here will be the next level of resistance, and we'd put another little range way up here. Okay, so just to highlight again, this little orange line here is the edge of the higher, of the bigger volume cluster, right? So that's why I've got a little bit of resistance there as well. Okay, so this big range that we find ourselves in could be potentially two little ranges like this. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing on AAVE versus USD. Okay, current support hopefully $111, $112, right? Resistance $136 and potentially $160. Right, if we fall down below, then I think $95 should hold as support. $100 potentially, because it's a big round number, but you get the picture. $96 to be a little bit more accurate if volume is anything to go by. AAVE versus BTC, nothing's changed, right? So we're kind of still testing the range. We've confirmed here that this is indeed support, but we've not quite tested, this has got front run here. We've not quite tested that area there, all right? But for the time being, I think that's what we're doing. We're kind of like just ranging in between there, okay? So we just delete some of these lines just to clean it up a little bit. Okay, so let's just say that this here is a range, right? If we break below it, then this will be the next range, and if we break above it, then this here will be the next range. Okay, so that's all I've got for AAVE versus BTC. AAVE versus ETH, looking a little bit stronger. Okay, so let me delete some of these lines now. This here is now support. Okay, as you can see here, we smashed above it, came down, and it bounced from there. Right, you can see this probably on the 4-hour chart a little bit better. Look at that, previous level of resistance. We smashed straight through it, confirmed that as support. So that's now support, right? So as a result of that, I'm going to put this back on the daily chart. As a result of that, I'm inclined to think that this now is a new range. Okay, if in fact, let me just change things slightly a little bit. If we do fall below, I do think that this yearly VWAP carries some weight, and I think potentially that could be support as well. Okay, but this is the range that we're looking for right now. So with this being support and this being resistance, break above it, this will be the next level of resistance, and therefore would be a little range up there. Okay, but it's tapering volume, there's not really much there, so this could actually just go all the way back up and then fall back inside the range. So we'll just have to keep that in mind, but nevertheless, that's one range. If we do get up there, like you've seen up here, like climbed, come back down again, confirm that as resistance. So this could be resistance here, this will most likely be support. If we fall below, then this is support down here, and therefore we'd have another little range forming like that. Okay, this is an important level of support, as we've seen here. Support, support, we smashed straight through it. Okay, so I expect this to hold as support. As you can see here, there's a low volume node there as well. All right, so if we fall below, we could see yet another range down here like that. Okay, so that's AAVE versus ETH. Let's move on to compound versus BTC. Sorry, compound versus USD. Still very much in the same range. Okay, so this is support, this is resistance until proven otherwise. Break below, then this is the next level. Okay, and if we break above, then this here will be the next level of resistance. Compound versus BTC, very much the same thing. This level is definitely now holding as support, so I'm going to put that as green. Was that on the previous one as well? Yeah, I'm going to put that as green as well. So just bear with me a second. Right, compound versus BTC. We're still kind of rotating inside of there, right? So this is the range that you want to be looking for. This is resistance, this is support, right? If we break below it, we fall onto the lower range. If we break above it, this will be the next level of resistance. Compound versus ETH. very much inside of this range here. And you can see yet again, right? You can see yet again where the price is being rejected. I highlighted there, I'm going to highlight it again. Got rejected at the value area low of the current year's VWAP. Where did it get rejected? Value area low of the current year's VWAP. Okay, so you can see that there. That's the current year's VWAP, which will very likely be resistance as well if we do break to the upside. Okay, but it's close enough to the top of the range there, right? But in fact, let's just reduce that a little bit. Let's just make it like this. Okay, I think that's what, in fact, we could probably do it like this. No, I think, do you know what, right, let me just do this properly. I think those yellow lines are correct, okay? This is an important level of resistance because that's basically a previous level of support, okay? So if anything, you could argue that this is a level of support as well, but I think if anything, we'll be doing something like this. Okay, if we break above it. But for now, we're kind of testing, we're kind of still below that yellow line and above this one. So we just kind of rotate sideways like this. Okay, that's compound versus ETH. Moving on to BAT versus USD. Very much the same scenario. We're kind of still, this is a large liquid move though, note. Okay, large liquid move there. Okay, so if we do break to the upside, this is going to be the next level of resistance, and it will be very violent and very quick, just like it was here. Okay, because there's hardly any volume traded there. All right, but for now, we're kind of ranging inside of this level here. Okay, this little range here. Break below it, and I think these levels here are important levels of support. But we'll have to wait and see if we can stay above it inside of this range. Okay, BAT versus BTC. Not sure why there's no level of support there, so let me just fix that. Okay, I think that's the range. Could potentially even go a little bit lower. Yeah, I'm going to delete that. Let me just do this a little bit more accurately. Ah, I see. I see why I put that line there. Okay, so this is a low volume node there. Okay, and I'd say that this here is the next level of resistance. That one there, that one there, like that. I think that's a little bit more accurate. Okay, so resistance, support, we're ranging between that. Break above it, this is going to be the next level of resistance. Break below it, this is going to be the next level of support. That's BAT versus BTC. BAT versus ETH. Well, it's very clear that we've reclaimed this level here, so this is now support. And I'm going to put that as white. Okay. And therefore this is resistance and this is support. We can see that we're kind of struggling a little bit to get above this consolidation here. It's forming a little bit of resistance. Okay, there's also a low volume area right there, right? This is in context, this is a low volume area. So it is a little bit of resistance there, but on the grand scale of things, I do think that this is the next level of resistance, which is basically the edge of this cluster here, right? So if we stay above this line, I think this is the range that we stay in. If we break below it, then this is the range that we're going to be trading in. Okay. Link versus USD. This line is definitely acting as support. Let's see if it gets retested. Right, so we either trade inside of this range here, or if we fall below, we're trading inside of this range. This here will be the next level of resistance if we do break above the range highs, the current range highs. I think I highlighted this to you guys last time, but I'll do it again. Okay, this here is a blue candle, which is a high volume candle here of buying volume, right? As a result, what that means is that these guys that bought at this level are now trapped. So when the price reaches this level here, they want to get out of break even, and that's why we've got a little bit of resistance. Break above that, once all this liquidity is consumed, I think this will be the next level of resistance. Okay, that's why I've got a little range here first, but immediately above it I've got an important level of resistance at around about $8.80. So just so that you guys understand the dynamics of what I'm trying to paint here in terms of the narrative that I'm trying to paint here. Okay, so moving on to Link versus BTC, very much the same scenario. We're kind of still rotational below resistance. I think that this level here should be a strong level of support. Right, in fact, let's just correct that slightly. I'm going to put that as 2000 sats. Okay. So I think that that is basically what we're going to be ranging inside of this range here. Right, break above it, even though we've got a value area low of the developing years VWAP right there. Okay, and we got some trapped buyers there as well. But if we break above that, then this will be the next level of resistance. As you can see, we've got a cluster just above us. Okay, so we'll see if we can form a range inside of here. Or if we stay in the range below. Okay, that's Link versus BTC. Let's have a look at Link versus ETH. Deviation above resistance, but unfortunately straight back in again. Okay, so it does look like we're still kind of like rotating inside of this here. So this here is acting as resistance right now. So we range inside of this range here. Break above it and hold that level as support, and I think we start rotating inside of this one here. But that remains to be seen. If we break below this level of support here, then I think we're going to go and see this level down here. Okay, moving on to Uni versus USD. Right, so we've got one big range. One big range divided into two with this little dashed line there. I'm going to make this a little bit fainter, just so it becomes easier. You can see where the price is failing. The price is failing at the value area low of this VWAP. Okay, which has confluence with basically where these guys are trapped, that blue candle. So are we going to range down at the lower portion of this range, or are we going to break up and go to the next level of resistance? If we do, then this here is the next level, is the next range to be trading in, like that. If not, then we trade in this lower range, okay, until we break to either side. Break below it, and I think this will be the next level of support, right about $3. But at the moment, price is holding well above $4.65, and $6 is resistance. Moving on to Uni versus BTC. So this little red line that I've had dotted like this is acting as resistance still. We are kind of like trying to get acceptance inside of this value area low of the yearly VWAP, right? But at the moment it's kind of like finding a rejection here at that red line there. So we'll have to wait and see if this level will hold. If it holds, then I think we range inside of here. We've got a problematic area here, right, which is the edge of this balance. So you can see here, there's hardly any volume until this low volume node, and the whole thing is just basically shit volume, right? So the price will travel very quickly up to this side. So this is resistance, this is support until proven otherwise, okay? Although we're finding a little bit of resistance at this level here. All right, break below that one, then this will be the next range. If we break above it, then this will be the next range, okay? And we'll have a midpoint here, which is that yearly VWAP, that will definitely cause friction on the way up, okay? But you can see here that this is a previous range. Support, support, we broke down, confirmed that that is indeed resistance, okay? So now you guys can see a little bit more in context, okay? So that's Uni versus BTC, Uni versus ETH. So, wow, quite a little bit of painting going on there. So let's just delete some of this mess. And I think it makes it a little bit easier to understand. So now, even though this is a range, right? So range highs, range lows, and this is the middle equilibrium point. Okay, this is previous level of support. Going to be tested at resistance, so that's the range high. Came down here, found support down here, so this is the range low. Okay, this range high and range low could be divided into two with this midline here, which is also the value area low of, you guessed it, the yearly VWAP. Okay, so now we either range up here on this lower, in this higher portion, or if we fall below, then we'll be ranging down here on this lower portion. Okay, draw that a little bit better. Right, break above this level of resistance, and of course we've got a little bit of a tricky situation, because even though we've got a little mini range here where basically we'd been kind of consolidated for a little while there, the real level of resistance is this one here, previous level of support, right? So this here is an important level. Okay, that's why I've got a little mini range here. All right, so I hope that makes sense to you guys. All right, so for now, let's just say that I'm going to put that to blue. That's the range we're in right now, highlighted in blue. Okay, break above that one, this will be the next level of resistance. Break below that one, and this will be the next level of support, and we'll be ranging below it like that. Okay, so that is Uni versus ETH. I think that's the last of the DeFi coins. We could catch up with Bitcoin and just have a quick look at what we're doing. It finally broke down. Oh, beg your pardon. It finally broke down, and it does look like we're on our way to testing that. We've broken below that weekly VWAP as well, with high volume as well. So we've broken below the weekly VWAP. It does look like we're on our way to the value area low of the weekly VWAP. Okay, so this is basically the level that you want to be looking for. That's $30,500. Okay, if $30,500 holds, like I said to you guys before, beginning of this video, okay, we either do something like this and rally, or oh, okay, let's see what happened there. Or we fall back inside it, confirm that this is indeed resistance, that's the entry for the short, and we'll be targeting the range lows. All right, so this level here, this area here, 30,500, really wants to hold right now if we are to go much further up. Okay, so I think I've given you plenty of setups. I hope this puts you on the right side of the trades. And yeah, I'll have another technical analysis update for you guys on Wednesday. In the meantime, trade smart and protect your capital at all times. Okay, take it easy, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.